Do you know who I am not as a person individual in today's society? We realize that life is one big enigma, wrapped up in a conundrum of mysteries told to us as stories that are supposed to teach us a valuable lesson to shape our misguided reality. It's funny, this thing we call life. Walking within our minds we find many roads, but we must remember that heavy is the head that wears the crown. In other words, he who holds the power also holds the responsibility, whatever that may be. Strange it can be at times that when we get to moments of doubt and fear, the choices we make tend to be those of survival within and for that moment, because not that we fear dying, but maybe what we may leave behind. Family, friends, loved ones, and so on. Once we start path, we cannot directly change paths and divert to another direction. Whilst some would argue it is possible to teach yourself something you don't know, I would ask you, how you know that you are interested or have the capacity to learn new material unless someone teaches you. Who you are, and your value as a person is at times challenged, with people questioning and doubting you, bringing down the confidence you may have, forcing you to internally bottle up your anxiety, frustration, fears, angers, doubts, and making you question yourself as well as your choices in life. Confidence is something we learn to have over time, it is not just given. While some are born to have this innately sharp confidence about them, and it only grows over time, others do not have the same fortune or mind to be so internally strong. You may notice that others around you, or that you see, rather it's a celebrity, public figure, or a passerby you meet in a store or on the street. These individuals are successful, and it would seem they always win or get what they want, so why do some have it easier than others are the thought. Would you believe me if I said it is an illusion and it is based on what they believe and the strength of their mind? These people believe they can create and become whatever they want, so they are not limited by the experiences or environment they are in. In this life we all have our unspoken habits that keep us sane and make us feel closer to the life we clutch onto, no matter what that means. The brain and the heart both have memory, as does water, so choose carefully what you do with this life. Knowing that how you grew up and the choices your parental figures made to give you the best life possible does not always have to make sense, so before you fear or despise them, consider this. Pretend for a moment in time that both of your parents have similarities in how they grew up. Your mother or mother figure was raised by people who hated life and chose to drink or do drugs, or chose a harder substance to form an addiction. Now your father was beaten every day because of not what he did or did not do, but because of the pain from his parents had to endure in life. Now you as a child. No, you probably did not have the best childhood because your father took his anger out on you, not understanding why he hurts, or your mother chose to ignore you and tell you if you want something, figure it out. Your thought is, my father just hurts me for nothing and my mother is a drug addict, but you would be wrong. You see that because you don't want to see the other side to things. The truth is just as dark, and that is, that this is all they know. Love, compassion were not lessons taught to them because of how they were raised. Now you may think and believe that it is a new year and a new day and age, and they should learn to move on, but this makes you that same abusive person that raised you, because after all, how do you take back years of pain and abuse? How do you rewind someone's addiction so their pain they live with gets easier? How do you tell them at a young age that the fear and pain they have for life is normal, but to get past it they must learn to face and find their voice? I will let you solve this problem on your own, but remember that life and the people in it are not always what you think, and the reasons why they make the choices they do is not always to hurt or upset you, but sometimes that is all that they know. So, to find a happy balance, I encourage you to find that statement they make that sounds and feels real. Hold on to it, rather it is or not, because rather it is or is not depends on you. A fictitious path is never a good one. They say any relationship built on lies is doomed to fail. This much is true for a fictitious path. Meaning the same habits that keep you in place without achieving your goals or learning and adapting is never good. This is so because of the beautiful lie you tell yourself. The habit and redundant patterns you create for entertainment, self-pleasure, just pleasure, or entertainment, such as watching TV in place of learning or lusting over a person, place, or thing, is not one more day but a lifetime of pain you have put yourself through. I say pain because if you consider what it takes for you to change in this life, you must also consider what it takes for you to stay the same. This doubt you think and feel, this depression you suffer with, this fear you refuse to face, and this anxiety you have because comfort is your friend. Change does not have to be a bad thing when you do it for the right reasons, so commit to a goal, and each time you see yourself getting distracted, empty your mind and focus your energy on something that challenges your mind even for a minute. Your body and your mind will thank you, because they don't know the difference between like, want, or need. Train your body and your mind to be stronger, and you will be unstoppable. The journey of time through our consciousness takes hold of us, in reality, sleeping or awake. What is meant by this is truly simple. Throughout our day we experience different things that help mold us into the people we will wake to become. Now rather that experience is by sound, smell, taste, touch, person, place, and so on matters not. However, what does is how we interpret said experiences. While for some this takes place in our dreams and for others while we are awake. Time is one thing that is constant and forever, rather it is changing or forever still. In this I mean that if you think you matter or do not matter you would be correct, because much of the universe is made of matter. At times we are concerned and focused on our appearance and the idea of who we are, not so much as where we have been or came from. Troubled minds confused in attempts to focus on so many things, the mind and body cannot remain still. However, to understand my point you must first know that reality is not what you think or believe that it is, but yet a lie told to you that has forced you into a belief of, or to follow, not lead. The perception of reality and time is exactly that, a perception of what we believe actually exists in the world that we know. Life is less complicated than most people think, being that there are many types of people in this world. There is a basic scale to understand the many types of people and their personalities, however more on this subject later. There are only 4 things that bear importance. These are energy, space, time, and of course matter. The point is not if you do matter, but that you think for yourself, and not just take things at face value or believe everything you hear or are told, because learning to question the choices and options before you are one of the first steps that will allow you to free your mind that society has held for so long. The belief of thought for what stands is most important in this case. Too many times people consider themselves below a rule of doctrine, thought, or an idea of man, where man finds himself ahead of evolution and science, changing how one or many things exist. It is not man's rule or way to keep one person or object by a specific outline, only what we would like or prefer to happen. There are a number of things in society that are acceptable only because we allow them to exist. Whereas if we rejected them, they would fail. Take racism for example, and the action followed by law enforcement, as well as the media. This is allowed due to a lack of knowledge and given perception, produced by one or a few people, in areas of poverty exploited by media, and those in power by way of wealth. However, continues for lack of information that is available to many different audiences, genders, and races. When it comes to power and crime, where some feel race is an issue, the general practice has been, shoot first, and ask questions later. It is noteworthy to mention that others would rebuttal by stating, innocent until proven guilty, whilst my reply is evidence of recent events around the world would prove otherwise. This is not meant to be personal, just the business of survival. I say survival because of 3 things. 1 is a fear that law enforcement has for those who oppose the law, 2 because the consideration for how people of color have been treated throughout history, 3 due to the inclusion there of one race inserting themselves in every situation throughout history where history would object upon the possibilities. Could you argue to a point of sense that if you were in a car and, in front of you were people playing loud music, doing drugs, and being loud, or acting out? Could you approach this situation without question, of, are you safe or do you feel comfortable? While some would say yes without question, I ask those who may say this, what if that person is someone of power, who could take away all you have in minutes just because she chooses to, would you still feel safe? There are ways around this of course, the first being to always be aware of your surroundings and to never say or do things that you question may be good or bad. Next would be to change the outlook of how your environment sees you, by means of changing your own perception and basic beliefs, be it through education, experience, or both. Next would be to increase the awareness and general beliefs and necessity for law enforcement, or changing the level of education and requirements to enforce the laws you must abide by. To do so you must think of yourself as a business. By this statement I mean if as an employee of your company, if you have a life and death insurance policy in effect, then you have several organizations working hard to ensure you are alive and well, Otherwise, in the event of your demise, a party must pay your benefactor a sum of money. Or changing how others see you by changing their understanding of you. Meaning how you look, speak, and conduct yourself. Another would be to slow your mind down by meditation and accessing a higher state of mind. Racism, to be completely honest and forthcoming, does not exist, but does the perception of power through wealth, however it is achieved. You may think me wrong or naive, however, consider this before coming to a conclusion. In different areas around the world, people have been separated, such as North, South, East, and West. Now in these 4 areas there is a consistent pattern, being that of where people are. In the southern areas, people have or are thought to have less of an education, so they are treated differently than others. In the north, people are thought of maybe stuck up. In the east, people are thought of as opportunist or those who take advantage of others for their own selfish wants or needs, and in the west, people are thought of as exploiting their resources and being wasteful. There are many reasons for this, however for now let's move on. When you think of racial inequality, what is your first thought? Those of color, right? However, this is only partially true again because it is allowed by media and environments that lack education to see other possibilities. I say allowed because with a lack of education in some areas, some people are considered ignorant or lacking insight when it comes to basic understandings. Now for a moment think of the last time you were in a store. It does not matter what type of store, anyone will do. Now you know that you need specific things, so you walk around until you find them, but now you're at the checkout station and you have money or means to pay, but you cannot read or count. What do? The truth is, it doesn't matter what you do next, because now society sees you as someone who is different. While different can be good in this case, the different I refer to means because you do not know these basic things, you now leave room for others to take advantage of you, and rather you want them to or not doesn't matter, because the chances of you understanding what is going on is less likely. Now look at the world today. The color of your skin only matters when you bring it to others' attention and consider yourself a statistic, not taking advantage of your resources. No one will help you to change or accomplish your dreams or goals. You must be your own advocate and lead yourself down the path of the least resistance. You must learn to value yourself, your time, and want more than to just live or survive. Ideas created by man, for man are not above any god or being, but only for the purpose of the selfish desire they themselves have been created, and that is to satisfy a want or need of man. Many people, rather you are a believer in religion or not, have 3 basic things in common. The first is faith in following, meaning your beliefs that your faith only allows you to follow a certain path and eventually things will change for the better. Then come to pass the measure of time, or have no limit, no matter the situation. Next is faith in passion. Some feel as though when the world ends, someone or something will magically save them from the destruction of matter, time, and creation. The last is the chaos of belief. This means that instead of learning and problem solving, you have faith and or pray for a solution. Within these same theories, there is another that has caused many people to lose themselves because of their set of beliefs. This is the law of sin, or sinner, and saint. What does it mean to be a sinner? What does it mean to live a life of a saint? As humans, these are never questions we can answer in just 1 or 2 words. To sin means to live a life thinking and feeling you are above any other creation, including that of a creator. To sin means you believe you are without flaw and greater than any natural force. To be a saint means you are equal to creation and hold the power of natural forces. If you already knew this, I would ask you what you are doing to change and inspire those around you. If you did not, I am sorry you have been lied to, but I assure you, this is not the biggest lie you have been told. Life allows us the ability to change and continue to evolve, not because we want to, or even due to the people around us that have changed, no. However, because time itself has changed, and our minds have evolved based on the people, emotion, and experiences we survive through, causing us, as people, to evolve with the ever-changing choices we make in life, then forcing us to change with it. This is not a good thing, because as we grow, we learn bad habits, and what trauma and pain look and feel like in the arms of failure. However, it is natural, and what is referred to as human nature, to fail. For if not for failure, we would not know how to succeed. When you fail, do you fail alone? Does your environment fail with you? When you are sad, depressed, angry, or just lost, does your mind suffer, or does your body? When you have those moments where you lose all hope in life, no matter how long it lasts, or get angry at the world, is it the world's fault you fail, or get angry? Is it because you didn't understand something or someone? Or is it deeper than just not understanding? This is a tough question to answer, because the truth is, it can be a matter of opinion. The harsh reality is that both you and your upbringing as well as your environment have failed you. As we grow up and learn as we evolve, we are dependent upon the teachings of those around us. The teachings and lessons you learn are based on what your parents and their parents before them learned. This assists in defining what morals and values we will have as adults and how much value we place upon ourselves later in life. So, to answer the question, it becomes a matter of perspective depending on who you want to blame in place of taking responsibility for the choices you may have made or not made as an adult. The world may not understand, one person, or many, and you should not want it to, because the truth is that if the world understood each person and the choices we made, there would be no one worth talking to. What you should understand is that it is okay to feel lost sometimes, so don't get offended because people don't think or feel the same way you do. Growing up is essential and happens whether we want it to or not. Also, not something we can stop, so learning and growing tend to go hand in hand, unless you are one of the children on the island of Lost Boys with Peter Pan. There are points within life that most feel they are, have, or can stop learning. This is another lie that you should stay far from, because the only time you stop learning is when the body and mind is laid to rest and the heart stops. Belief is just as powerful as air or water. Why, you may ask? Well, think about how powerful air is when it is wrapped in a cylinder and traveling at over 100 miles per hour, turning over houses, throwing cars of all shapes and sizes, and the same goes for water, rather it is in its liquid state or ice. What if water and wind or air worked together to form storms such as tsunamis or hurricanes, both very, very dangerous? Most people would not deny, but beliefs can be just as strong and powerful if it is allowed. Belief within itself is dangerous when paired with specific ideas. Take religion for example. Many would refuse to deny that regardless of your beliefs, somewhere out there is a creator. Rather you choose to believe in a god, alien or otherwise. Paired with doubt, this can cause fear, anxiety, anger, and chaos. I once knew a man who was not allowed to open his eyes growing up from the time he was a child till the time he was 15 because his parents told him he was blind. They covered his face, and if he tried to open his eyes, they splashed burning hot water on his eyes because they were afraid that the world would someday ruin their perfect little boy. Yes, you heard right. The parents of this little boy convinced him that he must keep his eyes closed and that he could not see for a large part of his childhood. The story doesn't have a happy ending. I tell you this so you understand. There are times that as people we believe others who may be family or befriend us may or should have our best interests in mind, but this is only a partial truth. Others will do maybe what they think is right or what is best for them. Not everyone who helps you is your friend, and not everyone who is mean to you is your enemy. A weak man helps himself, but a powerful man learns to help others. This is where belief can turn into blame, and blame can also be very dangerous, not for words or actions but the ideas that we find ourselves lost within. The theory of attention. The theory of attention is a multidisciplinary concept that spans psychology, neuroscience, and cognitive science. Attention refers to the cognitive process of selectively concentrating on a particular aspect of the environment while ignoring other stimuli. There are various theories and models that attempt to explain the mechanisms and functions of attention. Here are some prominent theories. Early selection theory, proposed by Donald Broadbent. This theory suggests that attention acts as a filter early in the processing of information. Only selected stimuli pass through to higher cognitive processes, while irrelevant information is filtered out before reaching conscious awareness. Early selection theory is a concept in cognitive psychology that pertains to how information is processed in the human mind during attention tasks. The theory suggests that there is an early stage in the information processing system where irrelevant information is filtered out before it reaches higher cognitive processes. In other words, at an early stage of processing, certain stimuli are selected for further processing, while others are discarded. Attenuation theory, developed by Treisman. This theory posits that instead of a strict filter, There is a process of attenuating, weakening, the processing of irrelevant information, allowing some of it to be processed to a certain extent. Resource theories, limited capacity model. Proposed by Kahneman, this theory suggests that
Thank you for all your support. By liking, sharing, and subscribing, we can continue to make the content you love to replay. We will see you next time. Remember, it starts with you.